Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as I always say, I want to welcome you to your favorite show, and that is Men, the one show that lights up your Wednesday night. The show that if you are planning to go to bed, you have to say goodbye to your sleep and watch this show. Now, the first week of August is the International Breastfeeding Week. Now, is that a big deal to us in Uganda? Possibly not. But don't forget, there was a story that ran on Al Jazeera which highlighted the fact that Ugandan men are competing with their children for breast milk. So, are we doing ourselves a service or a disservice? Now, with us tonight is the Honorable, non-fearing, tell it as it is, Dr. Miriam Matembe.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
Yeah. Good to have you here. You know, you're one of the men.
I'm happy to be here once again.
Yes.
When I used to be there, the show was a real show. People never slept. And when I got off up to now, they still ask me, why aren't you on Men? And I tell them, because they are men, how can I be there since I'm a woman?
No, but you're one of us because your views are very straightforward and particular. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, madam, there was a story that ran on Al Jazeera, which was, to me, it was very disturbing. But then I did some research, talked to a couple of men here in Uganda, and the fact is that men are actually competing with some men, not men, some men are competing with their children for breast milk. Now, the basis is that it's very nutritious, and so we can point a finger at the men, but I'd like us to pack the men and put them aside. The women who are allowing the men to breastfeed and denying the children that important nourishment, aren't they the problem? Your thoughts?
You are not even ashamed to ask me that question because this is serious. I'm actually shocked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't see the survey, I didn't see the results of that research, but I'm thinking in my mind, can that be true? Can that be true? Can a man, I know yes, men are selfish, but can they be so selfish so as to be stupid? Because I can't understand. You are saying that they are competing with their children. I want to ask, which children? You mean the babies?
Yeah,
the babies who are breastfeeding, and the man goes there and sucks the breast
and
sucks life out of this woman who is already breastfeeding and sharing her life with the baby, and the man comes and sucks the breast. And you are asking me as to whether it is not the fault of a woman?
Because she can say no. She can just simply say no.
When can a woman say no? Such stupid men, they are already so silly, they are already so aggressive, they do not have brains. You cannot just play around with a man who has no brain. What if he kills you? So poor woman, because she has no alternative, she has this baby. I'm yet to know whether these are women whom I would call empowered women, or it is those vulnerable women who are just treated as chattels. I need to know in order to apportion the blame.
Okay, majority of these women are, of course, rural women.
They are rural.
Yes, who are not exactly empowered. But you know, usually there's a very thin line between what some people call empowerment and being a feminist. You know, so a lot of men.
Feminist?
No, a lot of men say that that a feminist is a woman who drives strictly the
female agenda.
The female agenda. Yeah.
No, a feminist is that person, whether he's a man or a woman, who fights for the rights of women. You may be a man, you may be a woman, but those are type of people who perceive the world from the woman's perspective. Any woman who looks at the world from the woman's eye, any person who looks at the world from a woman's eye, they call them feminists.
Yeah.
And feminists are not wild, are not bad, are not, you know, like you are portraying them. It is that person who says, how does a woman look at the world, look at issues? For instance, that's why you are asking me, how do I as a woman who delivers babies and breastfeed them, how do I perceive a man who breastfeeds competing with my baby? How do I look at it? You may look at it differently, and I look at it differently, because I am involved. I can personally put myself in the position of that woman, having had a baby. Having a baby is not as easy as you may think. Like men think you push it out, they give you another, you push it out. That's what they think. They don't understand. They don't know what goes on with a woman. So I want to say that they are men who are really, I'm sorry to use the word stupid, but it is the right word, because I don't consider them as normal or people with brains or human beings to have a human heart. These are the two categories. The one who wants to have sex with a woman who is in her period, or with a woman who has delivered. And when I was a minister, I was struggling with such people. Some of them actually were killing the women. I mean, the woman has delivered, and you know how she is, the uterus, the whatever, what it is, and 4 days the man says, me, I want my sex. You are discharging your conjugal rights, I mean conjugal responsibilities, and they rape these women, and the women suffer, they break their backs, and now you are telling me that there is another type. Of course, the other one I described as violent and that kind of thing, that there is another type who breastfeeds. There is a baby there, and the woman, me, I can't even imagine. How does she even hold the breast? Are you telling me the woman just aids like we aid our babies? Choka Igaga, I think you are telling lies, because I don't imagine that they are. Let me tell you what I can imagine.
Yes.
Even before you have a baby, or when you are pregnant, but when you are there as a woman. I mean, I hope we are talking as mature woman. I mean, I'm a married woman, I'm a mature person. During the time of romance, there are many things which romantic people do.
Yes.
They can, caress the breast, they can suck the breast, but that is when there is no milk for the baby. But a woman who has delivered a baby and is breastfeeding, I don't imagine a man who goes there and sucks and swallows this milk. He cannot be a normal person. They need to take him to a hospital.
Okay, Banji, I need your intervention here. Now, the harsh reality is this thing is happening. And I find it very sad that in a country that's blessed with so much food like Uganda, we are still fighting issues of malnutrition, which should not be the case. But now in a case where, I mean, from a social scientist's perspective, okay, what is the thinking of a man who decides to compete with his child for breast milk, rather than actually encouraging his wife to breastfeed the child?
I think
not that I'm throwing you under the bus.
I think that Miria has made the work easier for me, given that at one point she was heading the docket of gender, which is in charge of social affairs. So you realize that there are many social issues that are not addressed. So from a social science perspective, I think one, we are looking at it in terms of power, which again Dr. Matempe hinted about. It's the issue of power. Because now I don't really think that women just surrender their breasts to the men to breastfeed. There must be some kind of intimidation, coercion, threats, you know, because the man has tasted on the milk and they know that this milk is very sweet. So they will intimidate the woman in whatever way possible to get the milk. Intimidation it might be psychological, they might be physical, and you know, in many cases, in most of our households, women don't have many avenues to which they can complain, to which they can present some of these complaints. Because we have also seen it in some homes where, say, a daughter comes back and reports either to the mother-in-law or to the mother and says, my husband is doing ABCD, and they say, that's part of being married.
Go back.
Go back.
Go back.
Yeah.
So, in a way that because of this power and structural injustices within our society, the woman finds it very difficult to address the issue. Yeah. The second probably perspective I would look at it from a social scientist kind of argument is again what Dr. Matembe alluded to, the issue of they could be sick. It's pathology. It is social pathology. Because socially, even if we construct the breast, a woman's breast socially, it is a store of food for children. Yeah. I think that is it.
Mammary glands.
Yes, mammary glands. That's why in biology they are called mammary glands.
But
what they are carrying,
call their husband's baby.
What they are carrying.
Some women who call their husband's baby.
Mr. Igaga, what is contained in the breasts? And if I may bring in God, you know God is also a social scientist. If I may bring in God, I think in God's wisdom, when He created the breasts, He created it as a store of children's milk. He knew that children needed milk. So when then a man begins competing, first of all, it's difficult to understand. The child you are denying the milk is your own child. So you are forgetting that when you take this milk, and for you, by the way, your capacity of the stomach is so huge, you can empty the breast in just a matter of minutes. So you are denying the child food. You are denying your own child development, because later on we shall expound the benefits of breastfeeding to children. Yeah. So I think it's more of a pathological problem, issue that these men are not thinking right. And as for the first time on TV, I will copy from Dr. Matembe's album and say it is some kind of social stupidity. It's a habit that really we should not groom. Because now, imagine you are breastfeeding, sometimes also your sons who are 4, 5 are seeing you on the breast of their mother.
Yeah,
do you know that you are creating a chain that even your children in future...
when do they see them?
I mean,
the man is in the bedroom.
However, he's got a point. For those people who live in uniports, you know, I mean, yes, who don't have the luxury of more than one bedroom. So, but now, Stefan, the reality is this thing is happening, okay? Is it the fact that we are not talking about it going to help it continue? So it just becomes one of those taboos that are unspoken of, that we just want to hide away from it, we don't talk about it, slip it under the rug.
The reality is that, you know, it's happening, and I want to put myself...
It's happening.
I want to put myself in this person's shoes. Like, why do they do
Which
this?
person? The man,
the man who breastfeeds. You know,
is he a man, by the way, or the baby, the big baby who breastfeeds?
you know, when we sit here as educated individuals, it's easy for us to say that it's easy for us to see it as a stupid thing. It is stupid. But when you look at it from a social conditioning point of view, where it is something that is accepted in that cultural setup where men do this. Because when we had this conversation the other time, you know, there are people who actually say, you know, there were interviews that were done, and there are people who were saying that they actually breastfeed. Yeah. So, you know, it is happening. It's a bad habit, but it is accepted in some social backgrounds. For example, FGM. FGM is a very something that is very uncouth. It's very stupid. But for you to get people to understand that it's a bad thing, it's very hard, because it is ingrained in them. Yeah. So it is something, whether you come out and say that it's stupid, we'll see it from this platform that it's a very stupid thing to do, but it's a habit that is accepted in that cultural setup.
Can I know whether in this country, at least I know that what is this genital mutilation? We know there in Kapchoro, and we've been fighting it, and we make inroads, and then things go back again. That one I know. But may I know whether there is a cultural practice accepted in any tribe in Uganda here? I want to know, because I've never heard about
I
it.
think it's
It actually is. I will not name the tribe, but there's some
Why
tribes
don't you
from
name it
Eastern
so that
Uganda.
we, so that
Should we name
we,
it?
so that we
Because,
start dealing with it? Because we have never known about it.
We do need to get into a break right now. We are here at the Hilton Garden Inn talking about breastfeeding and men's involvement in it. Don't forget, this is your show. We want to hear from you. Go to our Facebook page, like it. Let's get involved in the conversation. Same thing to our Twitter handle. It is NTV Men UG. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you just joined us, we are here at the Hilton Garden Inn enjoying a fantastic cup of coffee and a couple of snacks with the Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe, who's very disturbed at this point. We want to talk and address issues that, are otherwise swept under the carpet. Now, the Honorable Sarah Pendi, who's the Minister for Primary Health, did talk about this issue of men breastfeeding. Now, this week is the Worldwide Breastfeeding Week. So these are some of the things that we must address. Now,
Yes, and you see, Igaga, when we talk about breastfeeding of men, adult men, it's not for medical reasons. Because you've talked about the Minister of Health, they may think that now it is for medical reasons.
So she complained against
yes,
it.
actually she was complaining because as the adult men are providing competition with our children for breast milk. Now, again, you asked me, from a social science background, we know that generational change is normally about 50 years. In 50 years, you can measure change, social change. Less than 50 years is normally difficult because you are looking at people who are born and they are given new ethos to live by, and so you measure them in their midlife around their 50s. So change is a very difficult time. And this gentleman here is talking about social conditioning. Yes, social conditioning makes us do things which are bad because sometimes we even don't know that they are bad. Or sometimes even if we know that they are bad, we keep doing them.
I think I get where he's going about the issue of bad.
Yes.
It's bad according to who? You see, if the society is condoning it, then is it bad? Can it be considered bad?
You see, there are many things that society condones, but they are actually bad. There are many things that society allows people to continue doing, but they are not necessarily good. And you see, one thing we need to understand in social life, we have what we call private life and public life. Now, it is easier for us to police things which happen in the public life, where everyone can see. But some of these things are happening in 4x4 rooms, walls, you know. The guy comes, he says, Mama, Agnes first come, he closes the door, he says, my thing. And actually, I remember Chris saying that he remembers a joke where a man was beating a child for, breastfeeding on the particular breast. I think the left was his, then the right was for the child.
Yes.
Let me tell you, me, I'm sorry to be all that ignorant, but I am really shocked. Because I have known cultures in this country, quite a number of cultures, and things have changed. You know, you are saying that culture may take long to change. Let me tell you, when I became a member of parliament, in our region there, we used to have certain cultures. For instance, for us, like you, the father-in-law would go with with the daughter-in-law. They were doing it. By the time I became a member of parliament. And that's when AIDS had, featured here. And I went full blast, and I would address public, and I'd say, I am going to embarrass you. I will embarrass you, I'll shout you in public, and I will take you to prison. And I'm telling you, slow, immediate. By the way, mine was immediate, it was not slow.
Yes.
Because I was really, really crazy about this. And even you remember when I told you those up there, some in the northeast there, when women were just diving on I mean men diving on women who had just had babies. I used to go there and get them and we put them in prison, teach them a lesson. But I have never heard of a culture where it is known that in their culture they breastfeed. The men breastfeed the milk of the babies. Therefore, I want to say that they want to hide in culture. It is just some stupid element within those specific men who do that. That's what I want to believe. Because you see, I don't understand men, and I will never understand them. After all, God, when he created man, he saw there was something missing. There was something missing.
No. But
Let me tell you.
Saw was good.
No.
He said he finished. He
Okay,
said it was
he
good.
said it was good, but it is not good for him to live alone because there is something missing in him. And let me tell you why I'm talking of this. Men may forgive me. I'm not saying every man does that. When you see a man, whom they call a person they call a man, raping a girl of 3 years, a baby, raping one of sleeping with a daughter, which an animal cannot do, then you really know something amiss is there, and we are there to sort it out. But now the problem is when the women are vulnerable. When I talked of empowerment, if this is a woman who doesn't have a job, who is just married to be a woman in the home, to tolerate everything that the man does because he's the head. And some cultures say, don't, ebyo maka tebitotorwa. That's what the Baganda say. Ebyo maka tebitotorwa. They say, you just keep quiet. Once you go in the home, just die quietly. That is the type of women, I think, whom they are treating like that. But these other women who are empowered, like I have a job, like I'm there, and I have my baby, and my husband says, if he was just if he says, let me see how this milk tastes, one day, I can also, if I could, and see, because I don't know how that milk tastes. If he says once and he sucks and says, hey, it's nice, we are just in our romantic style, so fact finding. After the first baby, you can fact finding, how does this milk taste and so on. Just in our romantic way. But where you do and get a glass of milk, by the way, can he even get a glass of milk out of this baby's milk? Can he?
Stefan, you need to say something.
You know, the problem we have is that when you're trying to sensitize some of these communities, the people that do this target women, forgetting that we live in, we still live in a patriarchy, like 80% of, patriarchy societies. So women, up to today, women still don't have a lot of say. You'll find an empowered woman, like she says, an empowered woman, very educated, but she'll still allow a man to do this. She knows it is wrong. Deep down, she knows it's the wrong thing that,
But isn't that an assumption to see that it's wrong? Because just as I asked Banji, when you say something is wrong according to who? I'll give you a simple example. If I may now take it from the male perspective. To some communities, male circumcision is wrong. Okay. To others, it is okay. To some communities, male circumcision is wrong.
No, excuse me. They may not take it. Have you ever heard anybody condemning and challenging male circumcision?
Yes, in culture.
For me, I have not heard that one, because after all, it is even biblical. It is biblical. God told Abraham, circumcise every male.
But don't you think that is one of the reasons why, like, some men are using, men are using religion as a reason to do some of these things, I'm in charge. I say something and you follow. You're supposed to be my helper. You know, when you use an example of religion, most men use religion to step on
No,
women.
they misinterpret and misapply religion. Misinterpretation and misapplication of religion is one of the factors that undermine women and deny them the ability to realize their potential. That is a fact. It is one of them. It is in addition to culture. But I'm talking of a culture, whether you call it a culture or not. Circumcision, actually, the only tribe which I know which was circumcising as culture is the Bajisu.
And disobey.
And the thing which is wrong with it is when it is done unmedically. Because when it is done crudely, it may cause danger and people may die and
death,
that
yeah.
kind of thing, and infection. But if it is done well, like let me tell you, for me, by the time I had my babies and that kind of thing, I had already known that actually circumcision is good, is healthy for medical purposes and for health purposes. So these days, the children, when they are born, the male boys, we get them circumcised. And the sensible men, even when they were already old, when they learned that circumcision is good for men because it keeps them cleaner and it is very hygienic, they go and get circumcised medically. Yeah. So that's okay. But why do we now challenge the circumcision, for instance, of women? Because the circumcision of women is dangerous. So every culture which is dangerous to a human being is not good. It is known. It is not good. You can't ask.
And I want to pick from where Dr. Matempe has just stopped. You see, when you look at simple biology, simple basic biology, the amount of breast milk that is contained in a woman's breast is sufficient for the baby. And sometimes actually it is even not sufficient.
And at intervals, by
yes,
the
and
way.
at intervals. That's why they say.
Depending on how the mother feeds.
Yes. That's why even, by the way, that the process of manufacturing that milk itself is very serious. That's why they encourage these mothers to take a lot of fruits, juices, eat well, you know, take greens and etc. Because they want the mother to distill that food and give one menu to the what? To the baby. So why is it dangerous for a man, an adult man of my age, imagine now going to a woman and, you know, hanging like a bird, you know, trying to fight for that? It's because you are depriving your own child of food, of nutrition. And this is wrong because already government is fighting to make sure that mothers can breastfeed at least exclusively for 1 year. Because biology has proven that this milk is good for the baby. So it is wrong. I will say it is wrong. The men who are doing it out there, in my own opinion, you are doing a wrong thing. Now, I argued and said that society has public and private spaces. The challenge we have in the marriage, the way we structure marriage, especially in the Ugandan context, is that certain issues are only for the bedroom. Certain issues may go to the sitting room. Certain issues may not exceed the gate. You understand? And because you find that a number of women are dependent on men. Because if you look at the structure of Uganda, the land belongs mostly to the man. It is inherited by the man. The man is the one working. Even when the woman works, the man goes and grabs her money and makes it his. So, and because some of these women are really, you know, when you are vulnerable, this man brings food, you are sleeping in his house, on his bed, you are wearing his clothes. So even when he asks for the milk, it is what we call entitlement. The man feels he's entitled to the whole of you. Yeah. Yes, that you are his possession, you are his object, therefore he can do whatever he wants. But this is a wrong mentality. Yeah. Because as society, men alone, we cannot live alone without the woman, and the woman cannot live without the man. We need to balance the equation, to balance the boat.
I want to look at it in a very practical way. When I first got my son, I remember my lady was tried
Leave
so
your
hard.
wife.
My
You need to
woman.
be more-
Yeah.
More
are
she,
what?
I mean,
You are what? When, can you hear when she got his woman,
Listen, when I got my son,
your son,
my son,
not
like,
the mother?
my son, when the baby was born, you know, the process of her getting milk was so hard.
your woman.
The
My
process
woman,
of
yeah. Like she was, like, you know, it's something, I know you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You know, and I'm trying to put this in practicality. Most women, like the women who don't get like breast milk, they are advised to take different things. And I'm looking at this scenario where another man, you know, a man, woman is trying to feed the babies, they're telling her to drink porridge, they're telling her to drink all these seeds and whatnot. And then you are grown up, you also want to compete with a baby to drink the milk. I think it's a stupid culture. It's a stupid culture. But my question is, why is it that, you know, in 2019, the 21st century,
That's an example.
we have an empowered woman, educated, but they still allow this? You know, why would something like that, you know, persist
I'll tell you
in
what,
this
I
age?
think there are very many factors. Honorable Mateme mentioned it. You might be empowered on the outside, but are you empowered in your mind? That is one of the things we're going to look at when we get back from the break. Now, we're here at the Hilton Garden Inn having a talk about men getting involved in breastfeeding. Now, should men be being breastfed, or should they be encouraging their women to breastfeed their babies? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. We're here at the Hilton Garden Inn enjoying a good cup of coffee, and for those who are enjoying a nice ice cold beer. And we are talking about men and breastfeeding. This week is the International Breastfeeding Week. What are we as men doing to make sure that our women continue breastfeeding our children and making sure that the children stay healthy? Now, there are certain, clearly this has disturbed you very, very much.
It has, but I want to say something here, because for me, I don't understand whether you are educated or not educated. One should be able to know their limits. I mean, you should be able to know that as a human being, I cannot be pushed beyond this.
Certain limits, yeah.
Okay? Whether you are educated or not, whether you are empowered or not. Even if you are a rural woman, if you have a baby, and the man wants to breastfeed, I mean, you can go back home. Because
But it's
why
not
are
that
you
sim-
saying?
It's not that simple.
You know, it's not that simple.
Wait, let me, it is, I'm advancing this point because I want people to know. I mean, look here, let me tell you. Do you see me here? I'm no longer in politics. I'm no longer in Museveni's government. I'm no longer in all this. Why? I stood up and say, as far as I'm concerned, although I'm big, although I'm what, with all the honors and so on, I cannot accept this kind of thing, and therefore I can't be with you. You get it? You may think that it was easy for me. Who doesn't want to enjoy the benefits of honorable minister? You are chauffeur driven, you are having all these good things, worldly things that go with it. But you look at yourself, you say, is this what I can take? Can I take this? Can I tolerate this? And I say no. Not that I had any other income, not that I had what. And therefore, these women also, and you know I fight for them, there are certain things which I say, if you are a human being, you don't become so desperate unless you are a street woman, an orphan who has nowhere in this world to go. Then you can be there and tolerate all that. And by the way, these days, you can even go run to the women's groups. You can do what we came in, we sorted out many things. So me, I want to tell, like Mulanga, surely any woman who knows she's a human being who knows the breast is meant for the baby should refuse to breastfeed this brute, because the moment the man competes with the baby for your breast, you should know that he's a brute. He's not a man fit to be called a husband. You should not stay with him. You should not. And these kind of men, I think these kind of men, they don't even buy the food. They don't even bring, you may find even the woman is starving. I will bring in my God again. When you know God, and you know that God is the one who created you and put you in this world, and you know that he says, I will neither leave you nor forsake you, and you focus on him, you can dump this brute who is breastfeeding you to death and leave him and still live. So I want to appeal to women who are going through that to come out and speak loudly and come out and tell us, so that we may defend them and see how we fight this nonsense.
I think it's very important to build on what Dr. Matempe is saying. I always believe that in life we should have a red line. You know, I like the American military. They say sometimes when you are developing nuclear weapons, you shouldn't cross the red line. You can develop up to where the red line stops. Where the red line is, we don't know, but they know it. So I believe that in a marriage there should be a red line.
Yes.
And that I also believe that marriage is a negotiated social contract. So once you allow every terms and conditions to be imposed on you, you become like a carpet, because a carpet doesn't refuse. Everyone walks on it, whether you are barefoot, whether you are in shoes, in gumboots, whether you are from the garden. And we wouldn't want a society in which ladies are like that, because then we are pulling ourselves down. You know?
Crippling.
Yes, we are crippling the society. And sometimes we'll be there in our own homes and we ask ourselves, you know, there are people there who may not believe in the God, the universal God. But also even those who believe in their tribal God like Jaru. We know that God, wherever he is, can be very angry when you do sin. So I mean, the woman, it is time for the woman to negotiate, however small she is, and says, for me, on my breast, wait, let my baby first breastfeed. When there is no milk, you can come and do whatever magic you want with it for the two of us. Not taking the milk, the other magic. That is acceptable. So you draw a line.
The red one, yeah.
Say that even if you are in your romance and the man is trying to steal the milk, you say, Sebo, you are crossing the red line. Stop. That is for junior. So once we have that, and the other thing I know, at least in the Ugandan society, is whether someone is married or not, they survive. So why should you stay with this barbarian? Let us now paint this man like this barbarian, because this is barbaric. And you see, the challenge of development sometimes is that we might be obsessed with big things, education, roads, electricity, but this electricity you are bringing it for the man to exploit the woman. Do you think this woman is enjoying your electricity? Actually, the road is making the man to hurry from office to come and breastfeed. You understand? So, and this is the cost of development, that sometimes when we focus on outer development without focusing on human development, because you see, this is part of human development. Human development is, how do people think? How do people in a society think to be able to distinguish between what is good and what isn't good? So it's a dilemma. But it begins with the woman, that once the man starts developing these milk teeth, then you put a red card and you say no.
Yes.
You know, I want to build on something you said. For you to have a bargaining chip, and I'm addressing the ladies, for you to have a bargaining chip, don't enter relationships, a relationship in a scenario where you expect everything from your man. A man should come into the relationship to actually complement what you already have. You can have a say. If someone goes the wrong way, you can say that this is the red line. But I want to also address another factor about, growing up in some cultural beliefs that are very archaic and very stupid. You don't, like, we have grown up in some cultural beliefs that are very stupid. My father, for example, would say, like, when I would travel back home, my dad would insist that I sit on the left side of the car, and that was like something he did for ever since I was a kid. Like, up to now, when he sees me and I'm traveling and he's taking me to the bus or something, he wants me to sit. It's a cultural thing about him. He thinks that when I sit on this other side, I will die. We can, and the only way we can do this, the only way we can sensitize, we can get rid of this, is sensitizing men. We need to tell men that, for example, when you limit your kid from getting milk, at some stage it becomes stupid. It impedes
brain development.
It impedes brain development.
Because we are reaching that point when we actually do have to wrap up. So one of the things, I mean, why should a man be encouraged to encourage his wife to breastfeed?
We need to sensitize men on the benefits of breastfeeding their babies. If you're doing this,
the benefits to the babies,
to the babies. It's very important for the baby to take milk. Milk is very important, and that's why they insist that you need to breastfeed your baby up to 1 year. Some doctors say 6 months and above. 6 months, because there are some beneficial things that milk, especially to do with brain development. So it is a cultural practice that is very stupid. I know it might be happening, maybe it's not happening. I don't know if these things are factual, but it's very true. Even if you are born in that culture, you can be the one person who decides that I will not do this. This is just wrong. That's the only thing the baby feeds on, milk, and you're competing for milk.
And later you'll say you're stupid like your mother.
And then later on you say that you're stupid like your mother. You're not making this kid stupid.
Man, you're passing short. What can men do to encourage women to breastfeed, and why should they?
I think men should actually encourage their women to breastfeed, because breast milk is the complete food for the baby. First of all, where it comes from, it is direct from the kitchen to the mouth. It doesn't pass in any external environment. So the chances of contamination and causing disease to the baby and etc. are not there. But also we know that breastfeeding is part of what creates the bond between the child and the mother. Now, how can men encourage their women to breastfeed? And I think it's not only their women, it is the women in society. Because I happen to use taxis quite often, and you see a mother trying to breastfeed, and all the men in the taxi are turning to look at the woman.
That's something we didn't talk about.
And for them, they are looking at something else.
The animals.
I mean, this is
the animal instinct.
Yes. The man is just looking at the woman. This breast has come out not for you, Igaga. It has come out for the baby. So, as men in society, we should know that once a woman has a baby, whether they are in a bus, whether they are in a public park, whether they are in church, it is their natural duty to breastfeed. Yeah. So we should give them that respect. We should support them, okay? And we should make sure that we provide an environment in which these mothers breastfeed. One of the easiest ways we can do some of these things is we make sure that the mothers have much time with the children as much as possible. So whether it is at home, whether it is at work, so we really need to actually support them to breastfeed. For instance, I know most husbands in most families buy clothes. Why don't you buy attire for your wife which is appropriate for her to feed, so that it is easier for her to get the breast and give it to the child even if she's in public? You understand?
I hope the Honorable former Minister will talk about companies, companies providing
Providing
safe
breast-
places.
Yes,
Yes.
a
Safe
policy.
places, you know, for, for
So,
mothers to breastfeed.
yeah, and this is policy. I think this is policy. I liked the Speaker of Parliament. I think they are building new chambers, and he said part of it will have a breastfeeding center. I think I've seen another organization. I think it was another organization trying to advertise for it.
Yes,
but
doing it.
this is a
UNRWA?
practice. Yes, UNRWA. Yes, this is a practice that we need to develop in all workplaces. You know, I have always argued on this show that the workplace has shifted from home to the office. So we need to carry some of the home activities to the office. And breastfeeding is one of them. But men out there, please, the breast milk is not yours. Leave it for the children.
First of all, I mean, it is a fact known all over the world that God had meant that every baby, every young thing, whether whichever animal, chicken I think doesn't breastfeed, but some they hide them there. I think they are feeding them something. I don't know whether breast is, but when they are sitting on them, maybe they are giving them breast. But every animal, the best fast food of a young is the breast milk. In fact, I was reading a book about Fit for Life when they were telling us that milk is not good, the real milk, cow milk, that it is not good for us grown up. And the example they gave, so that I decided to not to like milk, I felt very bad. They told me that in the book that I should imagine myself and a cow sucking the milk from the cow breast. And the writer was saying, you imagine, are you a cow? That milk is meant for its
The baby
calf.
cow, yeah.
So every animal, everything that has breast is supposed to breastfeed. I think even fish somehow breastfeed, you can't tell. They know how they do it. And God had intended that milk to be the first best food which would turn this thing into a good, full human being. That's why you see babies who are not breastfed, there is something. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a nutritionist, but they miss a lot. They miss even growing up, even I can see from my children, the one who breastfed for a long time, the energy, the strength, the brilliancy, and all that kind of thing, compared to the ones who breastfed for a short time. Therefore, I want to say that God had intended a father and mother, even it is said in Malachi, that he made them one so that they may produce and nurture for him godly children. So it means that God got a man with a woman and said, you are going to have children for me and bring them up well. That means that every aspect of the babies as they grow and the children as they grow, it is a matter for the both husband and wife, or father and mother. And in fact, let me tell you, when the mother is breastfeeding and the father is nearby and he's bringing, do this, the bond, you don't know, they bond into this activity of breastfeeding. It increases the bonding of a man and woman because it is a duty. The woman is doing a duty, and when the husband is helping, like bringing, as you bring the pad, buying the pads for the breast, and then even when there is breastfeeding, when you are there, you instead of sucking, you say, hey, there is this one, hold like this, the baby will be better. And then buying, knowing that this is their responsibility, both of them. Knowing that a baby is their product and it is for them both. And when you help the woman and support her, she feels supported and released and helped, and it creates the good relationship. And you make sure because breastfeeding, especially for the first 3 months, like, make sure you get the soup, make sure you buy the appropriate. Let me tell you, my father was a rural man, but I remember, first of all, when my mother was pregnant, my father used to grind millet My father, go on the grinding stone and he would grind millet. And he would be the one to mingle the millet when my mother was expecting. And that is a rural man. And when she delivered, used to get goat, kill goat, buy whatever to make soup, would make soup and make porridge. We were still young, so my father would do it himself and, you know, and facilitate the breastfeeding of us. That's why I think we have these brains that we have. We were helped. And yet he was a rural man. Don't talk of rural and you just say in rural, in villages, in what? No, the sensible men, the real men support their wives in whatever they are doing.
Amen to that. Now you have heard it from the team here today, especially from the passionate Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe. Thank you very much for those very powerful words. We are here at the Hilton Garden Inn and we have been talking about what men can do to assist women in breastfeeding. So don't forget, we will be back next week. We hope you've had a great show. We want to hear from you. Let's keep this conversation going on our social media pages. Take care of yourselves. God bless, and we will see you next week.